Hello, hello, and welcome back. You are listening to Saltwater Stories, the show where we pull on a thread and unravel the most incredible tales from beneath the waves.
It's so great to be here.
And I am so excited for today's story. We have one that I think is going to stick with you. It's one of those that sounds like it was made up.
It really does. I mean, this is a creature that seems to break all the rules. It challenges, everything you think you know about what a fish is and how it's supposed to live.
That is the perfect way to put it. It's a story about being clever, about being sneaky, and about finding a home in, well, let's just say a very unconventional place.
Unconventional is definitely one word for it, maybe the understatement of the year.
I think so. Okay, let's get everyone in the right headspace. I want you, wherever you're listening, to just close your eyes for a second.
Go on, it's worth it.
Picture a coral reef, not just any reef, but a super busy one. It's like the downtown of the ocean. You've got parrotfish making that loud crunching sound as they eat.
Always so loud, the parrotfish.
They're the construction crew of the reef. And you have little clownfish, zipping in and out of their anemones, and maybe a big, graceful sea turtle just sort of cruising by. It's a rainbow of color and sound.
It really is sensory overload in the best possible way. There's life everywhere you look.
Exactly. But today, we are not looking at the big, flashy celebrities. We're not looking for the sharks or the turtles. We are searching for the ghost of the reef.
Ooh, I like that. The ghost of the reef.
We're on a mission to find a creature that is, for all intents and purposes, invisible. It's incredibly slippery, and it hides in a place so unbelievable that when I first learned about it, I genuinely thought it had to be a joke.
It's a common reaction. It sounds like something from a science fiction story, but I assure you it is 100% real.
We are talking about a creature that looks less like a fish and more like a living ribbon of silver light. Or maybe a glass noodle that decided to go for a swim.
A living glass noodle is not a bad description at all.
A creature that has this bizarre superpower where it actually shrinks as it gets older. It's the Benjamin Button of the sea.
It is. It's a completely backward way of growing up.
And, maybe the wildest part, it has perfected the art of breaking into a high-security fortress backwards.
And that fortress is alive. Can't forget that part.
Yes, the fortress is alive. Okay, I think we've teased it long enough. Let's reveal our star for today. We are going on an exploration of the one, the only, the pearlfish.
The pearlfish from the family Carapidae, a truly fascinating and deeply strange group of fishes that have taken specialization to a whole new level.
Okay, so before we get into, the weird living arrangements and all the superpowers, I have to ask about the name pearlfish. It sounds so elegant, so beautiful.
It does, doesn't it? It sounds like something you'd find in a mermaid's jewelry box.
Exactly. Is there a story there?
There is, and it's actually a beautiful, if slightly spooky story. To understand the name, we have to travel back in time a bit to the 1800s.
Okay, setting the time machine.
Picture the world of oyster divers. These are people whose entire job is to dive down, collect huge pearl oysters, and then shuck them, hoping to find a precious pearl inside.
Right, a tough job. And you're hoping for that one big score.
A very tough job. So imagine an oyster shucker. He's opening up a big pinctada shell, which is the kind of oyster that makes those beautiful pearls. He's prying it open, hoping to see a round, white gem.
Fingers crossed.
But every once in a very, very long while, he'd open one up and find something completely different, something he wasn't expecting at all.
What was it?
He'd find a tiny, silvery fish, perfectly preserved, inside the oyster's shell.
Wait, inside the shell with the oyster? How?
That's the thing. The little fish had at some point wandered into the oyster's shell when it was open, but then for whatever reason, it got trapped. It died inside.
Oh, poor little fish.
It is sad, but this is where the magic happens. You know how an oyster makes a pearl, right? A grain of sand gets in and irritates it.
It covers the sand in that shiny mother of pearl stuff to protect itself.
Exactly. It covers the irritant in layers and layers of nacre, the mother of pearl, while the oyster did the exact same thing to the dead fish.
No way.
Yes, it treated the fish like a giant fish-shaped piece of sand. It coated the entire body from head to tail in that shimmering, beautiful nacre.
So they would find a fish-shaped pearl, a literal fish pearl.
That's precisely what it was, a shimmering silver sarcophagus in the perfect shape of a fish. And it was this incredibly rare, glistening discovery that gave the whole family its beautiful name, the pearlfish.
That is one of the coolest origin stories for a name I've ever heard. It's like a little silver ghost trapped in a shell.
It is. And while it's a striking image, it tells us something really important about this fish from the very beginning.
What's that?
This is a fish that is programmed to go inside other animals. Sometimes, tragically, it chooses the wrong door and gets entombed, but usually it's the key to its survival.
Wow. Okay, so we know how they got the name, but what do they actually look like when they're alive and swimming around? If I'm out snorkeling on a reef, am I going to see one?
The odds are very, very slim. There's a reason we called it the ghost of the reef. They're masters of not being seen.
So what should I be looking for, even if I probably won't find it?
Okay, well, start by picturing a fish. You know, the classic shape a kid would draw. An oval body, a tail fin, fins on the top and bottom.
Got it. The classic fish drawing.
No, throw that entire drawing away. The pearlfish looks nothing like that. For starters, it has no scales.
No scales at all, like zero.
Not a one. Completely scaleless, which is strange for a fish, right? Scales are armor.
Yeah, they're for protection, so why wouldn't it have them?
Because for a pearlfish, scales would be a huge disadvantage. They create friction. They're like tiny little speed bumps all over your body. And as we're about to find out, this is a fish that needs to be as slippery as an eel dipped in butter.
Okay, slippery as an eel dipped in butter is a great image. So if it doesn't have scales, what does it have?
It's covered in a very thick layer of mucus,
Ah.
a slime coat.
So it really is just a slippery, slimy noodle.
A slippery, slimy noodle is a pretty good working description, yes. And to add to the ghostliness, their skin is often translucent.
Translucent, you mean see-through?
In many species, yes. The skin is so clear that if you hold one up to the light, you can see right through it. You can see its backbone, its little swim bladder. You can even see its heart beating.
That is so cool. It's like having built-in X-ray vision.
It is. That's why people describe them as a living shoelace or a ghostly ribbon. They're long, they're slender, and they taper down to a really fine point at the tail. There's no big fan-like tail fin.
Yeah.
The body just sort of ends.
It just fizzles out.
Just fizzles out. And another key feature is what they're missing. They don't have pelvic fins.
Okay, remind me, which ones are the pelvic fins?
They have the little paired fins, usually on the underside of a fish, sort of toward the front. They help with steering and stopping.
So why get rid of them?
Well, think about it. If your whole life is about squeezing into very, very tight spaces, those little things would be like having big, baggy pockets on your pants that are always getting snagged on the doorframe.
Ah, I see. So evolution just said, nope, don't need those, and got rid of them.
Exactly. It streamlined the whole design. Maximum slipperiness, nothing to get caught on.
And what about size? Are we talking about tiny little guys, or are they big like snakes?
Most of the ones you'd encounter on a coral reef are pretty small and delicate. You know, they can range from the length of a crayon to maybe the length of a 30-centimeter ruler.
So not huge.
Not at all. Now, they do have some deep-sea cousins, a subfamily called the Pyramidontinae that can get a bit bigger, maybe up to 50 centimeters. But the classic pearlfish is a small, ghostly ribbon.
Okay, so we've got a scaleless, see-through, finless ghost ribbon fish. Where in the world are they hanging out?
They are global citizens, really. You find them in the warm, tropical waters of the Atlantic, the Indian, and the Pacific Oceans.
So they're all over the place.
They are, but the real capital of pearlfish diversity is the Indo-Pacific. You know, that area called the Coral Triangle around Indonesia and the Philippines. That's where you find the most species. But the trick is, you won't see them swimming around during the day. They are expert hiders.
And this, I feel, brings us to the main event. The part of the story that makes the pearlfish so legendary. The big question, where do they live?
This is where it gets truly weird. They don't build a nest in the sand. They don't find a cozy little cave in the rocks. They are what scientists call inquilines.
Inquilines. Okay, that is a fantastic science word. Break it down for us. What does that mean?
An inquiline is basically a tenant. It comes from the Latin word inquilinus, which means lodger or tenant. It's an animal that lives harmlessly inside the home or even the body of another animal.
Okay, so it's an animal that lives in another animal. So who's the landlord?
The landlord is the sea cucumber.
The sea cucumber. Of course it is. Okay, I have to jump in here for a second. For our listeners, if you want the full story on the wobbly, sausage-shaped vacuum cleaner of the seafloor, you have to go back and listen to our full episode on sea cucumbers from Season 2. They are one of the most underrated animals out there.
Oh, absolutely. They are incredible. And from the pearlfish's point of view, they are the perfect fortress, a 5-star, high-security apartment building.
Really, a fortress? I mean, when I picture a sea cucumber, I just see a squishy lump sitting on the sand. It doesn't exactly scream fortress.
It's all about perspective. It might look like a squishy lump to us, but to a potential predator, it's a nightmare. First off, many sea cucumbers have toxic skin.
Toxic.
Very. They produce chemicals called saponins. These are nasty compounds.
Saponins. That sounds a little bit like soap.
That's a great connection. They are chemically related. There are soapy toxins that basically cause cell membranes to burst. So if a normal fish tries to bite a sea cucumber, its mouth gets a horrible toxic surprise.
So that's defense system number one, the toxic skin.
Exactly. But that's not all. They have a secret weapon. Many species have something called Cuvierian tubules.
I remember these. These are the crazy sticky strings, right?
The craziest, stickiest strings. If a crab or a big fish comes and attacks the sea cucumber from behind, it will eject these incredibly long, sticky noodles out of its rear end.
And they just tie the predator up?
They tie it up completely. The strings expand in the water and become this immobilizing net of goo. It's an amazing defense. So you've got a toxic, sticky tank.
A toxic, sticky tank. I like it. So how on earth does a little pearlfish get around all of that?
The pearlfish has its own secret weapon, its own superpower. It has a slime suit.
A slime suit, like a superhero.
Basically, yes. Remember that thick layer of mucus we talked about, the one that replaces its scales?
Yeah.
Well, it's not just for being slippery. Scientists believe that the chemical makeup of that mucus acts like a hazmat suit. It neutralizes the sea cucumber's toxins. It makes the pearlfish immune.
That is genius. So the pearlfish is like the one person who has the key card to get into the high security building. No one else can even touch the door.
That is a perfect analogy. It can get right up close and personal with the sea cucumber, while any predator that tried to follow would get a mouthful of poison or a face full of sticky strings.
Okay, so it lives inside the sea cucumber. We've established that. But the details. A sea cucumber doesn't exactly have a front door with a welcome mat.
Oh, well, no, it doesn't have a front door, but it does have a back door.
Right. We have to address the elephant in the room. Or I guess the fish in the the fish in the butt.
We do, and we have to be scientifically accurate about it. The pearlfish makes its home inside the sea cucumber's anus, or more technically, its cloaca.
Okay, so let's break this down. Why there? Of all the places in the ocean, why is that the goal?
It all comes down to a very basic need: breathing. Sea cucumbers have a very strange way of breathing. They don't have gills on their head like a fish.
Wait, they don't really have a head.
Not really, no. Instead, they breathe through their rear end.
They breathe through their butt.
They do. They have these incredible internal organs called respiratory trees. They look like, well, branching trees inside their body. The sea cucumber rhythmically pumps water in through its anus, fills up these water lungs to get oxygen, and then pumps the water back out.
So there is a constant flow of water moving in and out of its rear end.
Exactly. A gentle, rhythmic current. In and out. In and out. And the pearlfish, with its sensitive skin, can feel this current. It senses the breathing of the cucumber.
It's waiting for the automatic door to open.
Precisely. And the way it gets in is just a masterclass in strategy. There are basically two methods. If you're a very small, young daredevil fish, you might just dive in head first.
The cannonball approach, just go for it.
Right. Quick and dirty. But for most adults, especially the larger ones, that's too risky. You might get stuck. So they have perfected what is known as the reverse parking maneuver.
Reverse parking. Okay, I love this. I need a play-by-play.
Yeah.
Walk us through it step by step.
All right, step one, find a host. The pearlfish uses its sense of smell, its chemical sensors, to find a suitable sea cucumber.
Okay, it sniffed out an apartment.
Step two, the approach. It swims up to the rear end of the cucumber and carefully places the very tip of its tail right against the opening.
So it's not going in head first. It's lining up its tail.
Exactly, just waiting. Now, the sea cucumber is not totally oblivious. It can feel something poking it. So what does it do? It clenches. It shuts the door as tight as it can.
Go away. No vacancy.
That's the message, yes.
Yep.
This is what researchers call the clinch. The sphincter muscle tightens. But the pearlfish is incredibly patient. It just holds its position, tail ready. It knows that the sea cucumber cannot hold its breath forever.
It's a waiting game. A siege.
A total siege. The pearlfish just waits and waits. And the very second that the sea cucumber has to relax that muscle to take a breath of water.
What happens?
Zip. In a flash, the fish slides its tail in, and with a series of quick, powerful wiggles, it shimmies its entire body backwards into the respiratory tree.
That is just unbelievable. It's like trying to back your car into a garage while the garage door is actively trying to slam shut on you.
That is a perfect way to describe it. It's a high-stakes tactical operation that requires perfect timing. About 80% of adult pearlfish use this tail-first method. It's the pro move.
And that's where they live, inside those water lungs.
Yes, they'll hang out in the respiratory tree. Or sometimes they'll even puncture the wall of the lung and move into the main body cavity, just free-floating among the other organs.
Talk about an invasive house guest. Okay, so this brings up another practical question for me.
Go for it.
So you're a fish. You're living inside this very narrow tunnel. You can't really turn around because you parked backwards. You have to eat, which means you also have to, go to the bathroom.
A very logical question.
How do you do that without making a complete mess of your own house? Your only safe space.
This is honestly one of my favorite adaptations in the entire animal kingdom. It's such a brilliant and bizarre solution to a plumbing problem. The pearlfish has evolved something called a jugular anus.
A what? A jugular anus? Jugular means like the throat, right?
It does. The pearlfish's anus isn't at the back of its body like on almost every other animal. It has migrated all the way up its body, so the opening is located right under its throat.
You're telling me its butt is on its neck.
Effectively, yes. Its anus is where its chin would be if it had a chin.
Why? Why? That seems so incredibly strange.
Think about the mechanics of it. The fish is parked inside the cucumber with its head pointing out toward the opening. If it needs to poop and its anus was in the normal spot near its tail, what would it have to do?
It would have to back its entire body out of the sea cucumber.
Exposing itself completely to any predator that happens to be swimming by, and would have to leave the fortress just to use the restroom. That's a huge risk.
Right. Not a good survival plan.
But with the throat anus, it barely has to move. It just pokes its head a few millimeters out of the sea cucumber's opening, does its business, and then pulls right back into safety. The house stays clean, and the fish stays safe.
That is both disgusting and absolutely brilliant at the same time.
It is the absolute pinnacle of structure and function. Nature had a problem, and it came up with a wild but incredibly efficient solution.
Okay, so we've established that these fish are master squatters. They're pros at getting in and living there. But what kind of tenants are they? Are they, good roommates? Or are they the kind that leaves dishes in the sink and never pays rent?
That is the perfect question. And the answer is, it depends. It's a whole spectrum of behavior. Not all pearlfish treat their landlords the same way.
So it's not just one type of relationship.
Not at all. You have the polite guests, and then you have the homewreckers, the criminals.
Okay, let's start with the good ones, the polite guests.
These are generally the pearlfish in the genus Carapace. Their relationship with the sea cucumber is what we call commensalism.
Commensalism. I remember this from biology class. That's where one animal benefits and the other one isn't really helped or harmed, right? It just doesn't care.
Exactly. The fish gets a super safe, predator-proof home, and the sea cucumber, well, it just has a fish living inside it. It might be a little annoying, maybe, but it's not being hurt.
So they're just crashing on the couch, basically.
That's a great way to put it. And these polite guests are actually commuters. They have a daily routine.
A commute? What do you mean?
They use the sea cucumber like a daytime hotel. During the day, they rest safely inside. But at night, under the cover of darkness, they actually leave the sea cucumber. They swim out onto the reef to hunt for their own food, small shrimp, crabs, things like that.
And then they come back.
And then, before the sun comes up, they find their host again and reverse park right back inside to sleep for the day.
Wow. So they have a job, they go out, they bring home their own groceries.
Yeah.
They don't eat the host's food. That's a very respectful roommate.
It is. They're just using the place for shelter. But then we have the rude guests.
Oh, I'm ready for the drama.
This is the other main group, the genus Synceliophis. These guys aren't commuters. They are true parasites.
Okay, so what crosses the line from commensalism to parasitism? What are they doing that's so bad?
Well, they don't leave to get their own food. They move in and they start eating the furniture.
You don't mean they're literally eating they're eating the sea cucumber.
They are, from the inside out. They graze on the sea cucumber's internal organs.
That is horrifying. What parts do they eat?
Their favorite meal seems to be the gonads, the reproductive organs, and the respiratory trees themselves. They just sit inside their safe house and munge away on the very structures that are keeping them alive.
That is so messed up. It's like chewing on the walls of your own apartment. So, does the sea cucumber die?
This is the incredible twist in the story. Usually, no.
How is that possible? Is being eaten alive from the inside?
Because we have to remember another one of the sea cucumber's superpowers. Remember our episode, they are the wolverines of the ocean.
Oh, right. because they can regenerate.
Yeah. They have phenomenal powers of regeneration. A sea cucumber can regrow its entire set of internal organs in a matter of weeks. So the parasitic pearlfish eats the gonads, and the sea cucumber just grows them back.
You have got to be kidding me. So it's like living in a gingerbread house that magically rebuilds itself after you eat the gumdrop windows.
That is a disturbingly perfect analogy. From the pearlfish's perspective, it's an endless, self-replenishing buffet. It's gruesome, but it's a sustainable form of parasitism. The parasite gets to eat, and the host usually survives.
Nature is it's so much weirder than I could ever imagine. Okay, so we have these fish living quiet lives inside a sea cucumber. You'd think, if you're hiding out in a top-secret bunker, the #1 rule would be to be quiet. Shh, don't let anyone know you're in here.
That would be the logical assumption, but you'd be 100% wrong. Pearlfish are incredibly noisy neighbors.
They make noise. Fish can make noise.
Oh, yes. We used to think the ocean was a silent world, but we now know it's full of clicks, grunts, and all sorts of sounds, and pearlfish are surprisingly loud.
How do they do it? They don't have vocal cords.
No, they have a special instrument built right into their skeleton. It's a bone called a rocker bone.
A rocker bone. That sounds like it should be the name of a band.
The rocker bones would be a great name. So they have this unique bone structure near the front of their spine, and attached to it are some really strong sonic muscles. Those muscles connect to the swim bladder.
The swim bladder is that air-filled balloon inside a fish that helps it float, right?
Exactly. So think of the swim bladder as the body of a drum or a guitar. The sonic muscle contracts, pulling on the rocker bone, which in turn puts tension on the wall of the swim bladder, and then snap. It releases. It creates a loud clicking or drumming sound.
Like snapping a rubber band against a balloon.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. It's a percussive instrument, and they do this inside the sea cucumber.
So the sound vibrates through the cucumber's body.
Yes. And since sound travels so well through water and through the cucumber's body tissues, the cucumber itself can act like an amplifier, like a speaker box.
What are they saying to each other? Hey, let me out.
No, they want to be in there. It's usually one of two main messages. The first one is territorial. It's basically shouting, "This house is taken."
Get off my lawn.
Exactly. If another pearlfish comes sniffing around trying to reverse park into the same sea cucumber, the resident inside will start drumming like crazy to warn it off. Occupied. Find your own cucumber.
So they're defending their territory. What's the other message?
The other one is romance. It's a mating call. Hey, I'm in here, and I'm looking for a partner.
Wait, so do they ever share a sea cucumber? Like a male and female pair?
They do. Scientists have often found male-female pairs living together in the same host. But it can get even more crowded than that. In one very famous study, scientists opened up a single sea cucumber and found 15 pearlfish inside.
15. You're joking.
Not joking. 15 individual fish.
In one sea cucumber. That's not a house, that's a clown car.
It was a full-on pearlfish party. Can you just imagine the noise in there with 15 fish drumming away at each other?
That poor sea cucumber. Just trying to go about its day, and there's a rave happening in its respiratory tree.
It really challenges our whole idea of what personal space is, doesn't it?
It certainly does. Okay, I want to circle back to something amazing you mentioned right at the start. You called this fish the Benjamin Button of the sea. You said it shrinks. I need to understand this. This sounds like magic.
This is, for me, the most magical and mind-bending part of the entire pearlfish story. Their life cycle seems to go completely backward.
Okay, walk us through the life of a pearlfish from the very beginning. It starts as an egg.
Right. The eggs are laid in a gelatinous floating raft just drifting in the open ocean. When an egg hatches, the baby pearlfish doesn't look like a fish at all. It's in stage 2, which we call the vexillifer larva.
Vexillifer, what does that mean?
It means standard bearer or flag bearer. And that's because it looks like a unicorn carrying a giant flag. It has this huge, elaborate, streamer-like filament growing out of the top of its back. It's called a vexillum. And this thing can be much longer than the fish's entire body, covered in little frills and ornaments.
Wow. What is the point of having a giant flag on your back? It's not like saying, hey, predators, come eat me.
You'd think so, but we have a couple of theories. One is that it helps them float and drift on the ocean currents. But the more popular idea is that it's a form of mimicry. It looks a lot like the long, stinging tentacle of a jellyfish or a siphonophore.
So it's a bluff. Don't eat me, I'm dangerous and I sting.
Exactly. It's a clever disguise for a tiny, helpless larva, so that's the unicorn stage.
Unicorn stage, got it. What happens next?
After a while, it absorbs that big flag and transforms into stage 3,
Mm.
the tenuous larva. Tenuous is Latin for thin,
The thin stage.
and it is incredibly thin. They become these unbelievably long, transparent, glass-like noodles. I mean, they can be 20 centimeters long.
That's almost the length of a ruler.
Yes, but as thin as a piece of thread. They're almost impossible to see in the water. And at this stage, their bodies are denser, so they sink from the surface down to the seafloor to begin the search for a host. This is the noodle stage.
Okay, so we had the unicorn, then the noodle, and the noodle is searching for a sea cucumber.
Correct. And here comes the magic trick. When that long 20-centimeter glass noodle finds a sea cucumber and successfully gets inside, it undergoes the metamorphic shrink.
It shrinks.
Drastically. It will lose 50 to 60% of its total body length.
It loses more than half its size. A 20-centimeter noodle shrinks down to, what, 10 centimeters?
Or even 8, yes. Its bones actually demineralize, they partially dissolve, and the whole body is remodeled and compacted. It goes from being a long, fragile, delicate noodle into a short, robust, muscular little eel.
Why? Why would you want to get smaller? Growing up is supposed to mean getting bigger.
Think about the environment it's moving into. That long, fragile noodle body is perfect for drifting in the open ocean. But inside the muscular, churning, tight quarters of a sea cucumber's body, it would be torn to shreds. It's too fragile.
So it needs to be tougher.
It needs to be tougher, more compact, and stronger so it can navigate that internal world without getting hurt. It trades its length for strength and durability.
So it's like a superhero changing into a different suit for a different mission.
That's a great way to think about it, but just imagine it in human terms. Imagine growing to be 6 feet tall as a teenager, and then to become an adult, you have to shrink back down to 3 feet tall.
That is truly the Benjamin Button life. That's one of the most incredible things I've heard.
It's a drastic, all-in commitment to this very peculiar lifestyle.
Wow. Okay, so we've covered the weirdness, the lifestyle, the magic. But let's talk about the bigger picture. Why do they matter? It's a tiny fish living in a sea cucumber's butt. Does it really have a big impact on the ocean?
It absolutely does. You know, in an ecosystem, every single piece of the puzzle matters, no matter how small or strange. First, let's think about the food web.
Okay.
The pearlfish is a crucial link. The commensal ones, the commuters, they swim out at night and eat tiny little crustaceans and plankton that are often too small for bigger reef fish to bother with.
So they're eating the small stuff.
Right. Then when the pearlfish is swimming around, maybe it gets eaten by a snapper or an eel or a grouper. So it takes the energy from that microscopic world and transfers it up the food chain to the bigger predators. They're the middlemen.
The energy brokers of the reef. I like that.
Exactly. And beyond that, they are a fantastic bioindicator.
What does that mean, a bioindicator?
It means their presence tells us something very important about the health of the environment. If you go to a reef and you find pearlfish, it's a really good sign. Because pearlfish need sea cucumbers to live in. And they don't just live in any sea cucumber, they prefer big, healthy, mature ones. And big, healthy, mature sea cucumbers only exist on reefs that are in good shape reefs that haven't been overfished or polluted or destroyed by bad fishing practices.
Oh, I see. So if the pearlfish are there, it means their apartment buildings are still standing, which means the whole neighborhood is doing well.
That's it, exactly. Their survival is tied to the health of their host, which is tied to the health of the whole reef. They're a symbol of a functioning, complex ecosystem. They show us that biodiversity is so important that even a place we might think of as gross is a vital habitat for life.
But are they in trouble? What are the threats they face?
Well, they have their natural threats, of course. Crabs, eels, even other pearlfish. We mentioned the territorial disputes, and cannibalism isn't unheard of. But the biggest threats, as usual, come from us, from humans.
How are we impacting them? It's not like there's a big commercial fishery for pearlfish, is there?
No, we're not fishing for the pearlfish directly, but we are fishing for their houses.
The sea cucumbers.
Yes. In many parts of the world, especially in Asia, dried sea cucumber, often called bêche de mer, is a huge delicacy and is used in traditional medicine. There's an enormous fishing pressure on sea cucumber populations worldwide.
So we're taking their homes.
We are overfishing their homes right out from under them. And for a pearlfish, it's simple. No house equals no fish. It's a housing crisis on the reef floor.
That's a really powerful way to think about it.
And then on top of that, you have the global threats. Climate change is warming the reefs, which can stress the sea cucumbers. And then there's ocean acidification.
How does that affect a pearlfish?
Well, the changing chemistry of the water can interfere with an animal's sense of smell. Remember, the pearlfish has to smell its way to a suitable host. If the water becomes too acidic, their chemical sensors might get scrambled, they might not be able to find their way home.
That's heartbreaking. It's like being lost in a fog and not being able to find your own front door.
It is. It just reminds us that protecting the ocean isn't just about saving the big, charismatic animals like whales and dolphins. It's about saving the entire system, right down to the sea cucumbers and the tiny, weird, wonderful ghosts that live inside them.
Wow. Okay, before we wrap up, I want to play a quick comparison game just to put the pearlfish's lifestyle into perspective.
I love this idea. Let's do it.
Okay, first up, the clownfish.
Yeah.
The star of Finding Nemo. They live in sea anemones. How does the pearlfish relationship compare?
Okay, big one. A clownfish lives among the tentacles of the anemone. It's a partnership. They're neighbors who help each other out. It's mutual respect. The pearlfish lives inside the actual body of its host. It's an intruder. So clownfish is like sitting on the front porch. A pearlfish is like breaking into the living room and sleeping in a closet.
Got it. Okay, next up, the remora. Those fish that use a suction cup on their head to stick to sharks and whales.
Ah, the remora. They're hitchhikers. They stick to the outside of their host to get a free ride and scraps of food. The pearlfish goes all the way inside. The remora is riding on the roof of the car. The pearlfish is hiding in the glove compartment.
So the pearlfish really takes it to the most extreme level.
It really does. As far as we know, it's one of the only vertebrate animals with a backbone that has chosen to live its adult life inside another animal. That is an extreme, all-in commitment to a very strange way of life.
Extreme commitment, indeed.
There's nothing else quite like it.
Well, this has been, dare I say it, a deeply absorbing story.
Huh. I see what you did there. Very clever.
So let's just recap this magical journey before we go. We're talking about a fish that begins its life looking like a unicorn with a giant flag on its back.
And then transforms into a long, invisible glass noodle.
A noodle that then finds a sea cucumber and shrinks itself down to half its size to become a tougher, muscular eel.
An eel that then has to master the art of reverse parking into a toxic, sticky living fortress.
A fortress where it might live with 14 of its closest friends and spend its nights screaming at the neighbors with a special bone attached to its swim bladder.
And, we can't forget, it poops from its throat.
And it poops from its throat. That sums it up perfectly. Yeah, we say this a lot on this show, but nature is so much wilder and more creative than any work of fiction. You just couldn't make this stuff up.
You absolutely couldn't. And I think it teaches us a really valuable lesson. It shows us that there's no such thing as gross or boring in the ocean. There's only survival genius. What looks bizarre and weird to us is actually a brilliant solution to a fundamental problem. How do I stay safe in an ocean full of teeth?
And the answer is, hide in the one place nobody else wants to look.
Exactly, the ultimate hiding spot.
I just want to say a huge, sincere thank you to everyone for listening and joining us on this exploration of the weird and the wonderful. It's stories like the pearlfish that just deepen my love and awe for the ocean every single time.
Absolutely. It's a powerful reminder to always stay curious and keep asking questions about the world around you.
So the next time you look at the ocean, or maybe you're at an aquarium, or even just watching a nature documentary, remember this. The most interesting story might not be the big whale swimming by or the flashy school of fish. It might be the tiny, invisible secret party happening inside a lumpy sea cucumber on the sandy bottom.
You just never know what incredible stories are hidden right there in plain sight.
We really hope you enjoyed this incredible story. See you next time on Saltwater Stories.